So hopefully we'll have some news about The Chosen Season 4 very soon coming up this weekend. However, I wanted to talk to you about some of the other projects that I'm really excited about when it comes to Christian media. And in fact, there's one that's on the top of my list right now. You see, as Dallas is to The Chosen, Paul Sørstad is to a new TV series called Testament. This is going to be a modern day retelling of the book of Acts. Of course, the book of Acts has so many amazing stories in it, and this is going to be a unique take on that whole situation. So let's start from the top and talk about what Testament is and why you need to be excited about it. So the question we need to be asking is, why is this show so important? I truly believe that Testament has the potential to be the next big Christian TV show. We've been talking about The Chosen and other Christian media projects for several years now over on the Snipe Life and now here on The Chosen Sleuth. But over the past 6 months or so, really the only thing that's been interesting us has been The Chosen. A couple movies here and there, but nothing that's really taken our interest. And that's because there hasn't really been anything that's been majorly great recently. And that especially goes in the realm of TV shows. There's been some movies that have been hits, such as The Shift or Sound of Freedom or some different things here and there. However, in the realm of TV shows, there's really nothing. And generally when it comes to Christian TV shows, they don't last long and they're not very good. However, Testament is following in the footsteps of The Chosen in many different ways, and the team behind it is also really solid when it comes to faith, writing, production, and the ability to make something happen for a low budget. We've seen this actually previously, but we'll talk about that in just a second. Let's talk about the similarities that this has to The Chosen overall. Well, when The Chosen started, of course, it was Dallas, Tyler, and Ryan who were writing the show and began it from the ground up, crowdfunding it through Angel Studios and different things, and now coming to where they are now. Well, Testament is following a very similar path. They are partnered with Angel Studios, but they also have a group of 3 writers. They also have done previous productions before, and they've shown us that this is a real possibility to come out as an amazing show. Every time I do research or follow up on what the Testament team is doing, it just reminds me so much of those early days of the Chosen team and how it was like this cult following and how it's, this little family that's growing up and doing something really amazing. And while of course these are different people making different projects, it holds a lot of similarities to The Chosen in terms of these different characters that we see within the team. We have Dallas for The Chosen, we have Paul Sørstad for Testament. This is a younger director who has really been killing it. He's done some amazing stuff in the past, including basically a proof of concept for this series that we're going into now. And just as The Chosen has Tyler and Ryan as the writers next to Dallas, Paul has his wife Faith and his good friend Kenneth as writers next to him. So the 3 of them really work well together to be able to write these scripts and make sure it's something really powerful. As the Chosen team has Chris and Jelaine, the Testament team has Eleanor, who holds all of the energy of both the other 2 combined.
Hello.
So the building blocks are definitely there, and I've even met Paul and Kenneth in person, and I can promise you, I trust these guys to do something great here. But before I dive even deeper into the team, let's talk about what this project actually is. This is a TV show that is a retelling of the book of Acts, but in a modern day UK drama style setting. So if you're a fan of shows like Sherlock or Doctor Who, then definitely this is going to be right up your alley. I recognize that this probably isn't for everyone, and it's not a general audience that's going to gravitate towards this, but there are going to be some key people that are going to love this show, and I am absolutely one of them. I grew up on Doctor Who and shows like Sherlock, and this is just something that I've been craving for such a long time, especially with a biblical faith-based premise behind it. We're going to see characters like all of the apostles after the resurrection of Christ. We're going to see Saul turn to Paul. We're going to see people like Caiaphas and Pilate and different people all throughout that time right after the period of Christ. There's going to be so many amazing stories told in a way that we've never really seen it before. This isn't like The Chosen where it's a historical drama showing the exact time frame in which these things actually happened, but it's a retelling in a modern day kind of reimagining of the situation. So it gives the writers a lot of creativity to work around and show things in a little bit of a new light while still keeping the heart of the story the same. So in my mind, Testament kind of lands somewhere in between The Chosen and The Shift. The Shift was kind kind of like a more modern day retelling of Job, but very much sci-fi, very much loosely based on scripture, whereas The Chosen is heavily rooted in scripture and heavily rooted in the history of it all. And then Testament's somewhere in the middle. It's a modern day retelling and reimagining. However, they are going to be in that biblical storyline, and they're going to be showing what happened in the Bible just from a new perspective. So it's quite interesting, and I'm really looking forward to what that actually comes out as. Hey, real quick, if you love hearing about Christian media and you want to support more of what we do on the channel, the best way to do that is through our Patreon at snipesupport.com. This is $5, $10, or $25 a month that you can cancel at any time, and it really helps us out. Also, there's a ton of behind the scenes stuff over there, including a bunch of pictures and videos from our Israel trip that we just got back from. Of course, when we talk about behind the scenes of The Chosen or other different Christian media stuff, we're going to put that all over there as well, so you'll get more information than anywhere else online on our Patreon specifically. Anyway, if you want to support us, that would be huge. Thank you for all you do. Let's get back to the video. And one of the questions that I always ask myself when I'm looking at a Christian media project is, can I trust the creators of this thing? Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes the answer is maybe, sometimes the answer is no. Here, the answer is definitely yes, and there's a couple different reasons for that. Paul and his wife, Faith, have been part of the Christian community for a long time, and you can really see that their faith, pun intended, shows everywhere that they go. You can even find sermons that Paul has preached from his church during the COVID times when they weren't allowed to meet in person. This gives you a really good idea of who he is and how he cares about scripture. But not only do I trust Paul on the faith side of things, I also trust him on the production side of things. Several years ago, Paul put together a bunch of short stories retelling parables that Jesus taught. These were really amazing. But then more recently, he put together a feature-length film for $50,000 that linked all of these parables together. $50,000 in the movie realm is like absolutely nothing. At this point for The Chosen, each and every single episode is costing well over $5 million an episode. So it's pretty crazy to hear that he did a whole feature-length film for $50,000. If he's able to do that with such a small budget, what could he do with a real team, with a real budget, with real actors? I mean, this stuff is going to be crazy, and I'm really excited to see the outcome of what he's going to do now.
Way.
Truth.
Life.
You have a warehouse? How?
Generous donation from the Barnabas family. Any news on what happened today?
We're still trying to get a full picture, but they hit us hard. 4 safe houses breached and over 20 arrested.
We've lost the majority of the food banks in the city centre.
Why now?
We're still rolled up from Paul's antics at the temple.
No, that was days ago.
Truth is, we don't know. Our contacts at the ministerial council aren't responding. Everything seems to be in some kind of lockdown.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Unless Paul's given us up.
He would never do that.
Would be surprising, would it? Given his history.
Deborah, bringing up people's
James,
history.
the last time Paul was here, in this very room, he almost split the church. I'm sorry, but I still don't trust the
It wasn't him.
So let's talk about the core of who makes up Testament. Like I mentioned, Paul Sørstad, his wife, Faith, and then their friend, Kenneth, all kind of are the writers for the show, and they're the ones that create the core of what this show is all about. Kenneth is also an actor who played John Mark in the original feature film, and is now, I believe, playing the Apostle John in this upcoming new version of the Testament TV series. It's going to look really good. I think it's such an interesting thing as this core brings in some different things than I think even the Chosen team does. Believe me, I trust Ryan and Tyler in Dallas. They are the reason that the Chosen is successful in the first place. Without the writing that the Chosen had, this show wouldn't be good. Even no matter how much great cinematography or acting or anything else they had, if the writing wasn't good, that show would not be good. However, on the Testament project, there are some different angles that are being shown here. On the Chosen, of course, we've got 3 men who are all similar kind of backgrounds. They, of course, bring different things and unique aspects to the writing, but they are very similar. Whereas on the Testament series, we've got Kenneth, we've got Faith, and we've got Paul, and having a woman on there I think is a huge thing as well. I think this is going to bring a whole new dynamic to the writing aspect, and even when it comes to writing specifically the women of the show, I think this is going to add a unique kind of flavor and shading to what we haven't really seen before. So finally, let's talk timeline and when Testament actually should be out for season 1. Well, over the past 2 years, they've actually raised funds through Angel Studios, and they've been able to greenlight the project and go into production for season season 1. They're actually in the middle of that production right now, of course, across the sea from the United States, and they're working over there doing everything they can to finish up season 1. They've got a couple months left, I think, to finish out that. Then for the rest of the year, they'll be in post-production, editing, color grading, sound, everything else that they need to do to make sure that the show is perfect, and then they'll probably release it at the beginning of 2025. My guess would be springtime 2025, but we'll have to see. Overall, I think they said the goal is to do 5 seasons of Testament, and that would be a really amazing to see, but of course we're going to have to get through season 1 and then build up that crowdfunding again for season 2. So we'll see how all of it plays out, and I'm really excited to see how your response is to Testament overall. Of course, I'll be covering any big things that happen with Testament, along with doing deep dives and talking about the biblical significances as we get into the show itself. I'm really excited about this one, guys, and I hope that you guys are too. But let me know in the comments below. Is this for you? Is it not for you? Are you excited about Testament, or are you going to pass and go on to the next thing? I always love to hear your thoughts, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.